That's what happens when the streams come into the desert. And that's what the psalmist is saying here. When God comes in, all of a sudden everything begins to flourish. Then it says this, verse 5. Those who sow with tears will reap the songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. I like that this psalm and others refers to songs and joy in the same sentence. Songs and joy, songs and joy. I really believe that the ultimate response to God is worship. It is worship. And even specifically worship in song. I know there's different ways we can worship, but I don't know, when my heart is so full of the Lord, I just want to express that. And the only way that I can really do it is through words and through music. And I love this quote by John Piper. He says this, that he was talking about missions, and he said, missions exists because worship doesn't. That the ultimate goal and mission of church is to bring people to this place where they know how to worship God, where they understand who God is and respond to that. And I really believe that worship is a good measuring stick for our relationship with God. And as we talked about a few weeks ago, maturity and discipleship is learning to worship God and to express to Him freely. So think about that just for your own life. Think about just your response to Him. How often do you just respond in worship to Him? And singing and joy are the greatest expressions in response to God's miracles. Unfortunately, once again, there's no promise of avoiding pain here. In fact, he pretty much says, we were in pain, right? And so many times I've heard Christianity talked about it, just give your life to Jesus. And once I did that, I became so happy and all this kind of stuff. And I think, that's kind of a narrow view maybe. Sure, all of a sudden things changed. And there was a significant shift in my level of joy. But it didn't take away all the pain that I experienced in life, right? There is still pain. But in this case, the songwriter describes the pain, the hurt, the trials, the tears as seeds that are sown in the ground. But look what happens, because there's a return on the investment. There's a return on the pain and the hurt and the despair and the discouragement. And that harvest that comes out of it is joy. That's the expression, the return that comes on these seeds that are planted. Over the last week, we had family in town. My dad came all the way up from Tennessee. And I was so excited. I took vacation days. I was ready for a little bit of a rest and a little bit of break and some family time. And what did my dad decide to do? He decided that there were projects that needed to be done around my house. And so my vacation days, instead, I was being worked to the bone by my dad. Right? It wasn't quite that bad, but we looked around and we're looking at all these trees, and I just have I had dead branches everywhere. My trees are pretty healthy, but still these branches, they looked bad, they looked clutter. And when you have dead branches, they're taking energy from the parts of the tree that are healthy and they're growing. And so sometimes you got to cut off those dead limbs for the plant to really flourish, right? And so we're out there in the heat, and we've got our chainsaws, and we're cutting branches, and my yard looks like a war zone because there's branches everywhere, in the back, in the front, and so my dad said, you know what, let's get some twine. And let's throw it down and let's just begin bundling up these branches, And suddenly, those sheaves of branches, they became kind of the fruit of my labor, I had worked so hard. I had endured the, 80, 90 degrees. And all of a sudden now things are beginning to look a little bit better. I know that my plants are going to begin to flourish because we took the time. And those sheaves represented the abundance of our work, so to speak. And that's what I see as he describes the sheaves here, the harvest that comes, right? That represents like abundance for the people of Judah and their fortunes restored. The songwriter saw something similar and imagined people carrying those sheaves and that harvest of righteousness. So you guys, this is we talk about repeated words, right, in the Psalms, and the two repeated words in this one, well, they're not the same word in Hebrew, but one is gladness and the other is joy. And as I was looking at that, joy is the word rina. And I was like, what? Rina. I don't know how to pronounce it, but something like that. I was like, what does that word look like? Because there's lots of words for joy and gladness and expressions like that in the Bible, actually. This particular one, it's a cry. It's a sound. It's a shout. It's not a feeling. It's a sound that reflects the expression of gladness. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just come to that place where there's so much joy that it's just a cry out? Cry out to God. Let's all stand together. I just want to ask for that. And will you just kind of especially if right now, if you're kind of at a place where you've been overwhelmed maybe by despair, by hurt, maybe some sort of a pain. Maybe you've seen a partial restoration. Maybe you've seen God come through, but there's still a little bit of that lingering hurt that's there. I want to pray right now that God will give you that complete restoration, that He will restore the things that have been lost in your life. So if that's you, will you just sort of maybe hold out your hands just in a sign of just receiving from the Lord? If you want to raise up your hands, whatever you want to do, but just a sign, some sort of way of just receiving from God. God, I know that you have seen every hurt, every pain. Lord, you've seen depression. You've seen despair. Lord, you've walked with your people through it, and you will walk with us through it. You will do it again. What you've done before, you will do it again. And God, some of us, we've lost our hope. But God, restore that hopeful expectation in us that you can come through, that you will see us through that time. And God, right now, there are people that they just need that sudden breakthrough in their lives. And I'm asking for it, Lord. Where some people don't have faith for it themselves, Lord, I'm coming and standing with them in that place and saying, Lord, come through as only you can. Lord, in such a miraculous way that they're walking around like they're in a dream because they're like, whoa, they're blown away by what you've just done. God, would you come in that way? Some of these folks, they need a miracle in physical healing. Some have asked for it for years, and God, I just pray that you would bring that, Lord, in Jesus' name. Lord, some have had relationships that have been broken and seem like they could never be restored, God. But you are the restorer. God, you can bring them back, that you can mend those relationships and those wounds. So I pray that you would do it, God, in Jesus' name. Some feel stuck. Someone feels stuck in a hopeless situation. You feel like there's nothing that you can do to get out of it. You've been in it for a while. and it just seems like you're just spinning your wheels and kind of going in circles in this situation, whatever it is. And I believe that the Lord is saying right now, He wants to break through. That He's going to stop that spinning wheel. That He's going to stop that cycle, that hamster wheel that you've been spinning on for so long right now. So God, come and do that. Come as only you can. Stop the wheel. Stop the spinning. Lord, help them to step out, to step off into complete restoration. Lord, I thank you that you will complete the work that you have begun. That you will complete the work of restoration. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Can I just have some folks come up and Brendan?
Today in worship, the Lord really gave me a word about us focusing on His ability. And this is what, we didn't talk about this at all, but it was the Spirit in my that was learning out to be able to share this to you that I don't think we have to cut our head off about here and remove our mind from really thinking, because we rule God out so quickly in our minds of what He can do. You know, I do. Like, if I can't think it through, He can't do it, right? And He wants to encourage us today. It's not about what we think we can do, and don't let those doubts come in and rule out the fact that our God is able. The word I was getting was able. He's not only willing, but He is able to complete what He started in us.
Yeah.
And, you know, isn't that a hopeful word?
Yeah.
It's not about us. It's not about what we can think, or how we can get out of a situation, or how we can provide for this. Or our strength is in Him, and the faith that we have in His ability to do exceedingly abundant beyond what we ask or think. Mm-hmm. Beyond this, it's got to go past this. This is a bunch of crap. A lot of times, to be honest with ourselves, what goes on up here sucks. And this little head of ours is just so wimpy, but we can get stuck in that trap, and so then our countenance drops. Got to trudge through every day. But what I loved about this message, this word today of the hope, is our eyes can go up to the one who has the abilities, and that we don't have to even think it'll work. We just have to believe in His ability, and He is able. That was my word today.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Brian. I just want to say one other thing. That this psalm was past tense and it was future tense. Some of us, we need to look back at what God has done for us. And we need to remember that. Because that's just a reminder of what He will do in the future. And you can see the work He started. Now believe that He'll finish that work. So, thank you, Lord. Can we have some prayer folks come on up? And if the Lord is speaking to you about just this hope, this hopeful expectation, that's the word I believe, the hopeful expectation. If you've lost that, if you need that, if talking about the hamster wheel, if that was you, please let someone come up and pray with you about that. And let's just ask God to break through in whatever way we need to see Him break through.